Hello, everybody. Welcome to another wonderful, entertaining, edutating edition of the Artivist Thinks Stop Provocateur. I'm your host for this empowerment segment, Brother Ron, or Brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2, the Artivist. Let me see everything is good. Check in and make sure everything is good. We're going to be all right. I hope y'all having a great time in December of 2020. It's a very interesting times, man, as I do this. Today's date is December 2nd, 2020. This also marks the 161st anniversary of the state execution of John Brown. Arguably, I would say the greatest white man America has ever produced has got to be John Brown, in my humble opinion. I had to go with John Brown. He was most definitely a favorite of Bobby Dick Gregory, as you all know. Bobby Dick truly loved John Brown. He used to make a pilgrimage to the Harper's Ferry site in West Virginia. And the reason why I know this to be true, not only did he talk about it, but I actually visited that West Virginia site, the Harper's Ferry site, where John Brown tried to do a raid on Harper's Ferry on the military arsenal there. I actually went there back in 2014, and I interviewed the park rangers there, and they were big Dick Gregory fans, right? They love Bobby Dick Gregory. They talked about how he used to come to Harper's Ferry around that time in October, and pay his homage to John Brown, to Bobby Dick Gregory. John Brown was one of the greatest human beings to ever live. John Brown not only sacrificed himself, he also sacrificed his sons. John Brown lost several sons to fighting this fight against slavery. Now, my thing is this, as you all know me very well, uh, all white people are racist in this system. This system benefits white people and white privilege. So to call John Brown a racist is not to put any disrespect on his name, but to be honest about the situation, the system that we live in. He knew himself he was very privileged to be in a system like this. This system benefited his group that was classified as white, and he was a part of that group, but he knew slavery was wrong, it was morally wrong, and he wanted to end it by any means necessary. But he also knew that black folks need to have been given the opportunity to fight for themselves. He also understood, in my opinion, that he could not, as a white man, free black people, that black folks must choose to free themselves. See, even John Brown in 1859 knew that slavery was a choice, but he wanted to give black folks the choice to fight back. So that's why they went to Harper's Ferry to get their arsenal to arm the slaves for the no, they wanted to have an insurrection. They wanted a revolution. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for John Brown and his men, the Raiders. He had several black Raiders among him, including Dangerfield Newby, one of the first casualties at Harper's Ferry. Dangerfield Newby is actually the inspiration, is the historical inspiration for the Django character that Jamie Foxx, played in Django Unchained. So Django was actually based on Dangerfield Newby, one of John Brown's Black Raiders. Thank you for the donation, Psych L. And like the best is yet to come. I got a lot of information to share with you in a short time. Just want to do a quick live before I go out to the plantation to work. But here's the thing. You had a movie that came out this year. Didn't really come out like it should as far as a theatrical release called Emperor. It's based on one of John Brown's Black Raiders. This guy named Emperor. That's his nickname. He was a legend, right? And we got to understand that John Brown, a lot of these Black Raiders were in their 20s. These were young black men that was willing to put their lives on the line to liberate not only themselves, but their people. So these young black men, I think I probably do a separate live call. I want to talk about someone who's very important, a righteous ancestor should be remembered. But what I'm saying is, think about this. These were young black men in their 20s. I think John Brown had 5 Black Raiders. I'm just saying off the top of my head, maybe it was 5 black raiders at Harper's Ferry. Black men in their 20s. I think maybe Dangerfield Newby was a little bit older. Perhaps he was in his 30s. Let me just do a quick look up on that. On Dangerfield Newby. I know sometimes I might misspeak and get dates and names wrong, and people say, "Oh, brother Ron, all the stuff you said is invalid because you got this date wrong or this name wrong." But like, I love that. I welcome that. You got to hold me accountable because, like Brother Malcolm said, if you have no critics, you'll likely have no success. Once again, what Brother Malcolm said, if you have no critics, you'll likely have no success. So I'm gonna look up Dangerfield Newby and see. So Dangerfield Newby, he was born 1815, and they say died October of 1859. The oldest of John Brown's Raiders, one of 5 black raiders, like I said, and the first of his men to die during Brown's raid on the Federal Armory in Harper's Ferry, Virginia. See, West Virginia was still a part of Virginia, and then it broke away during the Civil War. So actually, Dangerfield Newby was about 43 to 44 years old when he died at Harper's Ferry. And also, one of the first casualties at Harper's Ferry was a black man that worked at, I guess, the ferry, whatever, in Harper's Ferry, I believe. And they killed him because he wanted to snitch. So it is what it is. But let me show y'all a picture of Dangerfield Newby right quick. Get an idea about, oh yeah, I can see Jamie Foxx's character Django in that guy's face. I'm gonna find it. And thank y'all for being patient with me. I appreciate it so much. Appreciate the love. Let me find the picture and share it with you all of Dangerfield Newby. Trying it and yeah, I mean, take advantage of this internet while we still can, y'all, because they trying to shut everything down. So find a picture. Okay, I think it's shared. See, I see that. That's Dangerfield Newby. That's the inspiration for Django. Baba Dick talked about it in our viral movie review of Django Unchained. Now, people say, well, Dick was paid to say those things. He said, I can't agree with that. He might have got something on the tail end, but here's the thing. I saw Django Unchained back in late December of 2012. And, I was going through a bad breakup with a Sagittarius, it is. I'm a Taurus. Sagittarius women kind of like runaway loves. I call them runaway loves. I mean, maybe that's wrong or right, but yeah, I got my heart broken by a Sagittarius woman. I was moping around all holiday season, and I went to see Django, and it was like, okay, this is amazing. This is great. It was like everybody was clapping in the movie theater. So I called Bobby D. Gregory not too long after that to try to redeem myself. Like I saw him in DC. Met him for the first time in person. Audio was horrible. I didn't know about it till afterwards, and y'all let me know. Like Brother Malcolm said, without critics, there's no success. If you won't have any success without critics. So I said, let me redeem myself. Let me just call up Baba Dick and make sure the audio is okay. So we talked on the phone, maybe about an hour and some change, and I brought up the movie Django, and I didn't know what he's going to say. He just went into this spiel about Django and all this stuff, how he saw it so many times. Y'all heard the audio, the review he did on We All Be TV. He called out Spike Lee for not even seeing the movie, but criticizing the movie while even reviewing it, right? So Baba Dick in his conversation brought up this Dangerfield Newby character, one of the first of John Brown's raiders to die at Harper's Ferry. And he also had on his person a letter from his wife, because he was trying to save his wife from slavery. When he died, he was on his mission, like Django was trying to save his wife in the movie. And so when they, got his body, they found the letter on his person. Let me see if I can find and read that letter. If I can find it. Thank y'all for being patient. Y'all can tell that Jamie Foxx character is from that guy. He look the hairstyle. And let me see if I can find the letter that was on his person from his wife. Okay, it reads as such: the following letter was found on Dangerfield Newby's body after the failed Harper's Ferry raid, Brentville, August 16th, 1859. Dear husband, I want you to buy me as soon as possible, for if you do not get me, somebody else will. The servants are very disagreeable. They do all that they can to set my mistress against me. Dear husband, you are not the trouble I see these last 2 years. It has been like a troubled dream to me. It is said that the master is in want of money. If so, I know not what time he may sell me. Then all my bright hopes of the future are blasted. For there has been one bright hope to cheer me in all my troubles, and that is to be with you. For if I thought I should never see you on this earth, life would have no charm for me. Do all you can for me, which I have no doubt you will. I want to see you so much. The children are all well. The baby cannot walk yet. The baby can step around anything by holding on to it, very much like Agnes. I must bring my letter to close as I have no news to write. You must write soon and say when you think you can come. Your affectionate wife, Harriet Newby. That's amazing. Think about that. These people were enslaved, and yet they were able to write. They could read and write. And so you think about his motivation to try to get to his wife, Dangerfield Newby, and he never made it, unfortunately. And it'll be interesting to see what happened to his family thereafter. His descendants and all that stuff, what they think about this. And you see how important black family was even in slavery. Here's a black man. When people say, well, black men don't protect black women. I mean, they were born into slavery, right? But he's trying to fight. He put his life on the line, try to rescue not only his wife, but also his family. People don't understand that after the Civil War, one of the first things that black folks did in this country was to try to find their loved ones. That is why family reunions are so important to black people, because we've been broken up. We have not been allowed to have our nuclear family intact ever since we got here. They have did their best to take the black man out of the home, to have the black man disrespected by his people. They have done their best. But like I'm telling you, the reason why we should remember John Brown is them brave black men like Dangerfield Newby and them young brothers in their 20s who sacrificed themselves to free their people. Frederick Douglass was invited by John Brown to go to Harper's Ferry, but Frederick Douglass didn't want to do it. I'm gonna paraphrase Frederick Douglass. He said, I can speak for the slave, I can fight for the slave, but I can't die for the slave." But John Brown was willing to not only die for the slave, but to even sacrifice his own family. This man sacrificed his white privilege. Like I said, all white people are racist. John Brown was a racist, not in that he hates black people. Then what we gotta understand: racist does not mean that you hate anybody. That means that you are a beneficiary of a system that favors you at the disadvantage of other people. See, I want us to understand that, because I don't want us confused. See, we we gotta evolve in the way we think about certain things. This is not a white supremacist system. It's not. This is a racist system. Who's ever in power, they get to dictate the terms, right? So that means, let's say black folks, we had a revolution or insurrection, whatever, we overthrew the powers that be, and we got in power. Yeah, we could be racist because we can dictate terms of other people's existence. We could tell them if they could get a loan or not, where they can live, and all this other stuff. We don't have that power as black people in a system that's not beneficial to us as a whole. So that's why I mean by racist, a system that people benefit from who are in power. They give certain privileges and other things at the exploitation and the disadvantage of other people, including black people. So that's what I'm talking about. And I know I hear other people saying stuff, but my thing is I'm trying to get us to understand certain things, certain dynamics, so we can look at things differently and move differently, because the old ways ain't working for us as black people. And a lot of us ain't readers. And it's probably your first time hearing about Dangerfield Newby. Some of y'all in the audience, or y'all never thought about it. But yeah, I always tell people Black history is stranger or better than science fiction on any Hollywood movie. Y'all looking at these superhero movies. We got real superheroes and sheroes in our bloodline as Black people. No, that's why they're afraid of us. They fear us because how can these people keep on coming back? No matter what we do to these people, they could keep on coming back and come stronger and come harder and be resilient and be progressive and still create amazing things. We are magical people, Black people, so-called Black people. So that's Dangerfield Newbie. John Brown had 5 Black Raiders. And let me find these brothers, and then we'll move on to the main course. People say, "Well, Ron, you know, you go all over the place." Yeah, I know. And I'll get the name of John Brown, pay homage, because we losing these rappers, right? You got these Black men died in their 20s to free their people. You got Black rappers that are dying like at a crazy pace, and they not freeing nobody, including themselves. They're getting sent to an early grave, not trying to liberate their people. And I ain't mean no disrespect to them. No, I know a lot of these guys I like. But the thing about it is, I haven't heard about a lot of these guys till they get killed. Like XX Tentacion or Pop Smoke. I mean, these guys were very talented. Or King Von or Mo E. What is it, Mo E or Mo 3? He was actually on that Tyson interview. They were doing a little Boosie. That was his guy. And then he's dead after this doing an interview with Tyson. But Tyson's no stranger dead. Look, he lost one of his good friends, Tupac, on fight night in Vegas. Right? They shot him on fight night on September 7, 1996. He died on September 13th, Friday 13th, 1996. I'll never forget where I was at. So you got all these Black men dying senseless death, it seems. But yet you had Black men 161 years ago on code, as y'all talk about. They were on code. They were trying to free themselves and free their people. They believed in the Black family, like Dangerfield Newbie, who was in his 40s. But you had them other brothers, they were in their 20s, putting their life on the line for our people. So I want to look up John Brown, because I want to get the ancestors their homage before I move on to the main subject. Harriet Tubman allegedly wanted to be at Harper's Ferry with John Brown, but she got really sick. And Harriet Tubman is a real one. I don't care what nobody say. Harriet Tubman is a real G, and she loved the Black men, and so that's something we got to understand. Yeah, but let me see. Look up John Brown, Black Raiders. We talked about Dangerfield Newbie. And Dangerfield Newbie was a strong 6'2" African American, was the first of Brown's men, not just Black men, but his men, to die in the fighting. Born a slave in 1815, but later freed by his white Scottish father. Newbie married a slave who was still in bondage in Virginia. Yeah, we talked about that. You had Lewis Sheridan Leary, who also died at Harper's Ferry. Okay. Shields Green, that's Emperor. I think that's in the movie that came out this year. Y'all should check out Emperor. Now, it's not all the way historically accurate like any Hollywood movie, but even though he died at Harper's Ferry in the movie, or he was executed after the Harper's Ferry raid. In the movie, he gets away. So I don't want to give away the end, but look at Emperor that came out this year about Emperor Shields Green and John Brown and stuff. I also, when they got that stuff on Stars, I haven't looked at the John Brown thing. I'm not gonna give a critique of that yet until I watch some of the episodes about that John Brown project they got. But they just ridiculous with it. The agenda is definitely real. And then John Anthony Copeland Jr. And the only Black Raider to survive was Osborne Perry Anderson, who would escape and remain free. He fled to Canada, but came back to the U.S. and enlisted with the Union Army in 1864. Anderson would write the only eyewitness account of the raid, which was published 2 years after the raid. He died in 1872. So out of those people, he was the only Black Raider to live to a somewhat old age. All the other guys, with the exception of Newbie, were in their 20s when they died. And I do something about the John Brown situation soon. And thank you, Brother Malcolm. I got the Cash App. Thank you as well for sending the donations. Y'all don't know how timely these things are, because Like I said, I got a job to work next hour, but I believe that what Dick Gregory told me, I'm the feeder. I must feed my people. And not just junk food, but food that's nutritious in terms of food for thought, and to encourage you all to be your own brothers and sister keepers in terms of, like, study this information. It's out there. They're going to shut down the internet probably pretty soon. Joe Biden talk about this dark winter thing, but we'll see. But thank you all for tuning in. But that danger for newbie, yeah. Never forget the righteous ancestor. So let's move on. To who we need to talk about right now, because people got this thing. Like I told you yesterday was the 65th anniversary when Rosa Parks refused to remove herself from her bus seat, which kicked out the Montgomery bus boycott. And also yesterday they did the Cosby appeal. Cosby was found guilty in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. See, white folks are very hip to this anniversary stuff. A lot of us don't know our history. And by the way, Rosa Parks, well, how old when she sat down on that bus seat? 42. 42, a very prominent number in Black history. Jackie Robinson won number 42. Chadwick Boseman died at 42. They don't want to talk. They changed it. It changed his age when he died, but he was 42 when he died. I still believe that. But it's something to these numbers in Black history that y'all should be studying. But let's talk about the person that we need to talk about right now. Fine. Give honor to this righteous ancestor. I don't want to make these people household names, household name for these people that we should be honoring. How about a fire? Thank y'all for being very patient. Trying to find these stuff. It's not it. We're going to talk about that as well. That's a emancipation statue out in D.C. in Lincoln Park. It's connected to this as well, but we ain't gonna talk about it right now. I want to talk about Sister Alberta Odell Jones. I'm trying to find her image so we get down to the nitty gritty. Thank y'all for being patient. We love you madly. Got so many screens open. Okay, I think I found it. Let me see. Start of history here. Yes, that beautiful Black woman right there. Get the right screen. It's interesting move with these screens. That woman right there. Y'all should make her a household name in every black household in America. Excuse me. That is Sister Alberta Odell Jones, Esquire, a brilliant Black woman lawyer. Now y'all always talking about Kamala Harris. Y'all proud. She's Rosa Parks. She's Ruby Bridges. She's none of these amazing foundational Black American women. We need to be celebrating people like her, Sister Alberta, Odell Jones. I'm gonna tell y'all a little bit about her in this segment, and I want y'all to do y'all homework. And we need to be demanding justice for what happened to this sister back in August of '65, where she was beaten brutally and thrown into the Ohio River at just the age of 34. Trailblazing Black woman, beautiful sister, kind, generous, loved her people, served her people, and yet her death remains unsolved some 55 years later. What a disgrace. What a disgrace. We talk about Breonna Taylor and Sandra Bland, but this woman right here, this righteous ancestor, where's the compassion and the sympathy and empathy for her and her family being tortured like this for years and years of her sister losing her best friend? And she died trying to help a friend, a so-called friend. She was, to the end, she was B1, Black first, right? So let's talk about Sister Alberta Odell Jones, a trailblazing Black woman, a brilliant lawyer, a real movement woman. We're going to talk a little bit about her. Let me read a little bit about her. and then I'll give you some of my thoughts to go behind it, and we'll can wrap up this session. But make her a household name. If you're a black person thinking about going to law school, thinking about becoming a lawyer, say her name. Remember this ancestor, because she literally put her life on the line for our people. She gave her life for her people, and least we could do is remember her, right? Alberta Odell Jones, born November 12th, 1930. Died, okay, at sunrise, November 12th, 1930. Sunset, August 5th, 1965. Was an African-American attorney and civil rights icon. She was one of the first African-American women to pass the Kentucky bar and the first woman appointed city attorney in Jefferson County. It says she was murdered by an unknown person. Now, she was murdered by unknown multiple people, according to eyewitnesses who saw what happened to her, right? Jones graduated from Louisville Central High School and went to the Louisville Municipal College for Black People, or LMC. LMC later merged with the University of Louisville during desegregation, and Jones graduated third in her class. She attended the University of Louisville Law School for 1 year, transferring to Howard University School of Law for her degree, graduating fourth in her class. After graduating, she began practicing law and took on a prominent client early in her career, a young boxer who later changed his name from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali, introducing him to trainer Archie Moore of California. She was appointed in February 1965 to the Louisville Domestic Relations Court, where she was a prosecutor. Now, let me talk about that relationship with her and Muhammad Ali, or when he was Cassius Clay. Louisville is interesting, right? You have a situation in Louisville where you had this black woman, this beautiful black woman named Breonna Taylor, killed in her own home, right? She was killed in her home. She was killed in her home by the police, by the Louisville police under suspect circumstances. But did y'all realize, or do y'all realize, that the way that Muhammad Ali learned how to box was from a Louisville cop? It was a Louisville police officer, a white one at that. I believe his name is Joe Martin. If I'm not mistaken, I'll find out soon. Taught this man how to box because somebody stole his bicycle. Somebody stole Cassius Clay. His mama called him Cassius. I'm going to call him Cassius, right? Now, Muhammad Ali, we know it's Muhammad Ali. Somebody stole his bike when he was a little kid, like maybe a preteen, teenager, whatever. And he wanted some payback and revenge. So it was a white cop in Louisville that taught him how to box. So also what people don't understand, it was white men that controlled his career early on. Before the Nation of Islam, before he became Muhammad Ali, he was involved with this group of 11 powerful white men from Louisville, businessmen. Men from very powerful white families were involved in creating Cassius' career. They call themselves the Louisville Sponsoring Group. They are known as the Louisville Sponsoring Group. Let me show a picture of these people so y'all get an idea of who these people were. Very powerful white men. And y'all got to remember that Muhammad Ali never had a problem. He never had any problems until he became a part of the Nation of Islam. And when he left them white men, he was protected from the draft board. He had no problems with the law of the government until he left them white men for the Nation of Islam. When the Nation of Islam got in control of his career, Elijah Muhammad's son he was his manager. That's when he started having his problems with the government. I want y'all to think about that. So let me show a group of white men with Cassius. Let me find the screen because I got so many stuff open, man. Okay. It's an article from Sports Illustrated back in the day, or Black in the Day. You see that? Y'all go look this up. Look up the Louisville Sponsoring Group. This article came out back in March of 1963. That's the Cassius Clay with the white men, the Louisville Sponsoring Group. But the reason why I bring them up is because Alberto Odell Jones, the sister, she was the one that negotiated his first terms and contracts with this group. This black woman, who graduated third in her class at University of Louisville, fourth in her class, Howard University School of Law. She negotiated the future Muhammad Ali's first boxing contract, and she had it in the contract where they would have to withhold like 15% of his earnings and put it in a trust, and he'll have access to that trust when he turned 35 years old. So she made an agreement with these white men that y'all withheld 15% of his boxing purse and put it in a trust fund. So when he turned 35, he'll have some money. You know, we just saw Mike Tyson and Roy Jones fight it out in their 50s, right? But you know, boxing is a brutal sport, right? So by the time you're 35, you might be retiring if you're not already retired or you're not under, pushing daisies or something like that. It's a brutal sport. So this woman had enough sense and love and care to negotiate that in his contract so he can have some money later on when he was not in his prime or whatever. And we all know Muhammad Ali boxed for a long time, right? They took away almost 4 years of his prime based on him standing on principle. And so there's 4 years gone. But think about that. So she negotiate that. I want y'all to think about that. We talk about this black women. Black women like her. Black women are very powerful, as we all know. And that power could be used for good or evil, but black women have a lot of power. And that's woman right there. That's pretty impressive. Even in today's world, right? This black woman was able to do that with these powerful white men on behalf of Muhammad Ali. So let me continue reading some more about her background. Thank y'all for being very patient. Appreciate it. So much to go through here. I have a lot on my mind. There's a lot of things I want to cover because I know all these anniversary dates, and my mind be like, dang, but I'm only one person. I want to post this and talk about this in a video, but my time is so like, wow, my time be going fast. Jones was active in the civil rights movement. Let's see, I'm gonna make this screen disappear. And y'all see my pretty face, my beautiful, handsome face. Yeah, let me talk more about this sister. But make sure you make her a household name, especially if you are going through law school or if you're a lawyer right now and you practicing. Be a force of good for our people. Just don't be an ambulance chaser. Be a game changer. Just don't be an ambulance chaser. Be a game changer. That's what I want to put out there in the universe. Jones was active in the civil rights movement, taking part in protest marches in Louisville and attending the March on Washington in August of '63. Upon returning from Washington, she formed the Independent Voters Association of Louisville and was very involved with the Louisville chapter of the Urban League. She rented voting machines and taught African Americans how to use the machines to vote. She was also active in the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Another of her causes was a fundraising effort to pay the medical bills of a young man, James Bucky Welch, who lost his arms saving his dog trapped under a train, purchasing him prosthetic arms by auctioning a car. Wow. So, y'all talking about Stacey Abrams and what she did back, allegedly she did. I hope they don't make it the face of voter fraud down in Georgia, arresting all them so-called voters. But this black woman didn't have no social media or that type of technology back then. So she was going community grassroots organizing. And really, the Independent Voters Association represented thousands of black people. By her doing that, she helped desegregate the city of Louisville. This black woman organized thousands of black people in Louisville and taught them how to voter education. Not to tell them just to vote because of name or popularity, but she's trying to show them how to do strategic voting and do the strategic political game. And she was able, by her efforts, to desegregate Louisville. Think about what I just said. And also, see, not only did she, go to the March of Washington, but she helped organize it. See, we gotta tell our stories and reclaim these narratives. So we shortchange our ancestors and ourselves when we don't tell the whole truth about who we are. That black woman right there, she did that stuff. So what happened? Well, let's talk about her murder, right? And the aftermath. Like I told you, eyewitnesses said that they saw a group of men, like according to some sources, it was a group of black men I don't know. I wasn't there. But nevertheless, it was a group of men, maybe two or three, if not more. They were brutally beating this woman. They took her to a bridge and threw her into the Ohio River where her body was recovered. And, they beat her about the head, I think, with a brick. Some sorts say it was a brick they used to beat her upon the head until she was unconscious, I believe, and they threw her into the river, into the Ohio River off the bridge. And that's crazy because, it was really crazy? They found her purse hanging from the bridge like 3 years later. Think about it. And they had all her stuff inside her purse. She had all her money, credit cards, all that stuff. And they found her purse 3 years later hanging from that bridge she was thrown off of. Stuff is weird. And what I want to say about her, too, is that she was the first, not only black prosecutor in Jefferson County, where Louisville is located, but she was the first woman. She was the first woman and black prosecutor in Jefferson County history in Louisville. And she was over the domestic violence division. Think about what I just said, domestic violence. So she was sending white dudes to jail for beating up on their wives and stuff. So she had a lot of enemies. Think about what I said. I mean, I told her about how she negotiated that amazing contract for Muhammad Ali, his first boxing contract, where he could save some money for his retirement. I'm talking about this woman organizing voters to desegregate Louisville. Then I'm talking about they put her over the domestic violence division in the courts, meaning she had the power to send white men to prison. And she was only there for a couple of months in 65. Oh, man, she made some interesting people her enemies. I have no doubt that the list is long of who might have killed her. So let's continue this. Her killing was first attributed to drowning, and her body was retrieved from the Ohio River. However, her car was found several blocks from the Sherman-Minton Bridge with blood inside, and a subsequent autopsy determined that she had been subjected to several severe blows to the head before entering the water. Her killing was never solved. The belated murder investigation by Louisville police contributed to her murder never being solved. The follow-up police investigation determined that she had been beaten. She had been beaten unconscious with a brick, and witnesses recalled seeing a body tossed by 3 unidentified men from the bridge where her purse was later found. I think about 3 years later. In 2017, efforts were made to reopen the Jones case, and it became a cause célèbre. Detectives involved in the initial investigation were interviewed in the hope that new leads had surfaced over the 52 years since the killing. Professor and attorney Lee Remington, who was doing research for a biography, found clues to the murder and sent a letter to the Louisville police, who agreed to reopen the case. The Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice also began an investigation. The investigation is funded by a new law, the Emmett Till Unsolved Civil Rights Crime Act, which provides $13.5 million annual funds to the Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and state and local law enforcement agencies to investigate and prosecute pre-1970 killings. Okay. I have no faith in the Justice Department. They won't even investigate. Let's see what? Y'all hear me correct, right? I'm all right on my. Now I'm not getting any feedback. Can y'all hear me clearly? So I'm trying to see. Okay, yeah, I'm good. But think about this: the Emmett Till thing, right? How many times the FBI opened up and closed their case on Emmett Till? You got Bill Cosby in prison, but yet Carolyn Bryant, who's about the same age as Bill Cosby, she's free as a bird, and she was there that night to identify Emmett Till at his great uncle's Most Wright's house. She was the female that was there to identify Emmett Till. Then years later, she told the historian from Duke University, allegedly Timothy Tyson, that he didn't deserve what he got. He didn't do the things that people say he did, or she said or claimed that he did, right? So why is she free as a bird? And the FBI has so many, they reopened the case and closed it. You can't get no justice from the devil. The devil can't give you no mercy. The devil's only qualified to give you more hell. Once again, black folks, stop begging the just us system, these devils, to give us justice when it's just us. The devil is only qualified to give you more hell, hence the devil. So we got to stop doing this to ourselves. Like I said, I went to Emmett Till's, one of the spots down in Mississippi in Tallahatchie County, to Bryant's grocery store in Money, Mississippi. And it's like some unresolved spiritual stuff down there. Because it was weird. Like I said, it was like a scene from Lovecraft Country where these cars just came out of nowhere and started zooming up and down the street trying to intimidate me, my mom, my sister. We was paying our respects to what happened to Emmett Till some 65 years ago at that place where he allegedly whistled or whatever at the white girl, Carolyn Bryant. But here's the thing, a lot of y'all don't understand. A lot of people want to blame his uncle for letting him or allowing him to be killed by the white man. He thought that maybe they was going to scare Emmett and not kill him, but just scare him a little bit. But that incident between the store incident with Carolyn Bryant and the time they kidnapped Emmett Till from his great uncle Mose Wright's home, there were several days in between. What's sad is that, the children, Emmett Till's cousins and whatnot, they didn't tell Mose Wright the truth about what happened that day. He had no idea about the incident until the white men came looking for Emmett Till. I think they asked him, like, he was trying to give him money. Please don't take my great nephew. Please. I mean, he just a kid. They asked him how old he was, how old Mose Wright was. And I think he said he was 64. He said, well, nigga, you want to live to be 65? Get out the way. I think J.W. Malum, Roy Bryant's half brother, said that. Roy Bryant was married to Carolyn Bryant. And also, my understanding that one of the recent governors of Mississippi, I think Phil Bryant, he is the nephew, allegedly, of Roy Bryant. Now, he was a baby when that happened. I'm not blaming him for that, but I don't know this for sure because I know Wikipedia had it that he was the nephew of Roy Bryant who killed Emmett Till, but you can't find that in Wikipedia no more. I think I did a screenshot of that. It was about a couple years ago because, when Trump came to the opening of the grand opening of the Civil Rights Museum down in Jackson, Phil Bryant was the governor at the time. So, had Mose Wright knew about the alleged incident the day it happened, Emmett would have been out of town. He would have been in Memphis on his way to Chicago that same day. So, I mean, it is what it is. History is what it is. But we gotta tell the whole truth. Just like when people say, well, Emmett Till was thrown in Tallahatchie County. When I went down to Glendora, Mississippi, where they got the Emmett Till Interpretive Center, I think interpretive, whatever they call it, center, Johnny B. Thomas, who was the longtime mayor of Glendora, Mississippi, he led me to the spot where they threw Emmett Till's body. It was not into the Tallahatchie River. It was into the Black Bayou. He led me to the Black Bayou Bridge, and that's where they threw his body into the water, the Black Bayou, which led into the Tallahatchie River. And the thing about it is that Johnny Thomas, like I got the video on We All Be. I had interviewed him at that area back in March of 2012. He said it himself that he believed his father, Willie Loggins allegedly was a black man. See, if you don't understand, there was black people involved in kidnapping Emmett Till too. You had several black people involved with J.W. Malum, with Roy Bryant, and kidnapping and killing Emmett Till. Not only just kidnapping and killing him, but torturing Emmett Till, right? So he said allegedly his father, Willie Loggins, was the guy who shot Emmett Till in the head, a black man. And Willie Loggins was in Keith Beauchamp's Emmett Till documentary. And I believe he died in a nursing home back in 2005 in Ohio. So he never saw any type of, he never was brought to court to answer for his alleged crimes or for his alleged bad acts, as they say in the Cosby Appeal, his alleged bad acts. So actually, the barn where Emmett Till was tortured still stands. I believe it's in Drew, Mississippi. And Drew, Mississippi is the home, it's the childhood home of Archie Manning. Archie Manning, the patriarch of the Manning family. He produced those great, future Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and Eli Manning and Peyton Manning. Archie Manning, who played football for Ole Miss as quarterback, he's from Drew, Mississippi. I believe that's where the barn where Emmett Till was tortured is located, and it still stands. And what I'm gonna say, it's a lot. I mean, what am I talking about? And also, Drew, Mississippi. Another thing played out in Drew, Mississippi back in the 20s. The legend of Joe Pullen. Joe Pullen was a black sharecropper. They said he was sick and tired of being sick and tired. He killed a whole bunch of white people. He shot up a whole bunch of white people. So he formed a large lynch mob to get Joe Pullen. They tortured him and destroyed his body. But his legend grew. Even Marcus Garvey's Negro World covered the story of Joe Pullen. They say he was a black hero or a hero. Fannie Lou Hamer talked about the legend of Joe Pullen. Years later, people still remember Joe Pullen. So he was out of Drew, Mississippi too. The Mississippi Delta is a fascinating place. And I tell people, you want to visit not just Memphis, but the whole Delta is amazing. All the black history, just the secrets in the Delta. But Emmett Till was not thrown in Tallahatchie. He was found in the Tallahatchie River, but he was thrown in the Black Bayou, which led into the Tallahatchie. So I got that from Johnny B. Thomas back in March of 2012. I got to check in with Johnny Thomas. He just had a birthday. So, let me find some more information. What's crazy? On the night of her death, on her way to dying, Alberto Odell Jones was reading actually an article on JFK. She was reading an article on JFK, and her sister saw him. And she told her sister, allegedly, according to her sister, that I don't want to end up like the president. I don't want to get assassinated like the president. And her sister said, you won't get killed. You're not the president. You won't get killed. Not knowing that was going to be like the last time she saw her sister alive. So she told her sister, Alberto Odell Jones, that she didn't have to worry about being assassinated because she wasn't the president. But they killed her. They did assassinate Alberto Odell Jones. And I believe they used some of her friends, her so-called friends, because the thing about Alberto Odell Jones, she was a high achiever, right? She was a driven, ambitious black woman. She lived at home with her mom and her sister, and but she used to feel guilty about her success. Some of her so-called black friends would say, "Oh, girl, you think you better than us because you are educated and you got these positions. You think you better than us now." So she used to feel guilty about being successful in her career. And she didn't want like she was a sellout. She didn't want like, I still like y'all, girl. You still girlfriends and all this stuff. So that night, one of her friends, her so-called friends, guilt tripped her into meeting her concerning a lawsuit. One of her friends. And I believe this friend, because the family called looking for Alberta. And then this friend's daughter answered the phone. And they asked her, so where your mom at? She said she's downtown. But during that time, downtown was closed. Businesses were not open during that time of the day downtown when they called looking for the best friend and the daughter answered the phone. You see what I'm saying? So the best friend lured her out of her safe environment to her death. And then she was driving a rental car because a real actual car was in the shop being repaired. So they actually found a fingerprint that belonged to a 17-year-old kid at the time. And I believe they found him years later to ask him questions. Because they claimed originally that a lot of the primary investigators and eyewitnesses were dead. That was not true. The authorities said that, the lead investigators were dead. That was not true. Eyewitnesses were dead. That was not true. They didn't have a potential suspect. That was not true. Because they had the fingerprint of the 17-year-old kid in the rental car. But they let him go. And they say he failed a lie detector test. But here's the thing about lie detector tests. It don't mean anything. You can't use lie detector tests in court of law because they're not reliable. So I don't hold. But I'm just thinking it's weird. Why would the authorities say there were no more lead cops that were part of the original investigation around, or that there were no eyewitnesses around? And we know this, the eyewitnesses were around because they talk about how, 3 men that threw her over the bridge. So, yeah. This is a state-sponsored, it seems, assassination. This is Louisville. And what y'all gotta remember about Louisville supposed to have been the original place where Dr. King would have been assassinated. Before they got him to Memphis, they were going to kill him. They were thinking about killing him in Los Angeles. You gotta remember it was a black FBI agent from California that told Dr. King he would be assassinated by the U.S. government back in January of 1966. And he had a meeting with his top lieutenants at the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, MLK did, to inform them that he was notified by this black FBI agent that he would be murdered. So he had that meeting back in August of 66. But they were going to get Dr. King allegedly in Louisville. His brother A.D. King, who was real close to Dr. King. A.D. King died crazy, death in a swimming pool the next year, even though he could swim. He had a church in Louisville. And the plan was the police, some rogue elements in the police department was going to assassinate Dr. King in Louisville. And the only reason they didn't do that was because a white police officer came forward as a whistleblower. He told the press about the so-called plot, and when the police department was questioned about it, said, "Oh, we were just joking around. We didn't mean anything about it. It was just a little locker room joking around." But it probably was going to kill Dr. King in Louisville. That's the whole point. Thank you, Brother Daryl Nix, for your donation. To allow y'all. Thank y'all for supporting the movement. But yeah, look up that Dr. King plot in Louisville that never came to fruition. Now, they said that elements of the police here in Memphis, read Dr. William Pepper's The Plot to Kill King. He lays out all the different prospects and angles. And, we have the Honorable Judge Joe Brown on our show a lot to talk about these things as well. Yeah, so let me see. Actually, I got some more in-depth, sir. Cassius Clay, right? I want to show y'all something right quick. I got to get ready to go to work. I want to show y'all something. Oh, what a life. The life I lead. Oh, man. Let me see. I'm going to show something. I'll be talking. I know I go all over the place. My bad. I'm not able to read everybody's comments right now, but I'll read them later on perhaps, and try to respond to as many as I can. But let me see. Trying to find. I be having so much tabs open, man. It's crazy. Let me find it. Yeah, but make her a household name, y'all. We gotta remember our ancestors, the righteous ones. There's a lot of controversy about that statue and the emancipation statue of Lincoln and the slave, like he trying to pat the slave on the head, allegedly. And what people don't know is that the guy who's the model for that statue, that's actually Muhammad Ali's ancestor. That's his great-great-great-grandfather, Archie Alexander. Let me see if I can. Damn, I'm not the most tech-savvy person. Y'all bear with me. Let me move the screen down. DNA findings link Muhammad Ali to heroic slave. So our bloodlines, black people, we all got amazing bloodlines. That's my whole point. Watch, I tell y'all about our bloodlines. So this is Muhammad Ali's ancestor who posed for this Lincoln emancipation statue in Lincoln Park. A lot of controversy around it because the Confederate thing. They're taking down all the Confederate monuments and flags and whatnot. And best believe white women led the charge. They the one that put up no Confederate monuments and stuff throughout the whole country. It was white women, the daughters of the Confederacy. See, white women made these white men. Y'all gotta understand. It was a Rebecca Latimer Felton, a former slave owner, a woman's rights advocate, a suffragist, a white supremacist. She called for the lynching of 1,000 niggas a week, 1,000 black men. She wanted, and she was the first woman senator in U.S. history from Georgia. She was a true Georgian peach or Georgia peach, right? But they made her a U.S. senator for one day back in the early 20s. I want to say 1922. She was about 87 years young, and she lived to her 90s. But it was a woman that started this lynching campaign that went on throughout the late 19th century and throughout the 20th century. So as a white woman, the same white woman, like Dick Gregory said, he was always scared to be with a white woman because the Wolf Man, Frankenstein, and Dracula all came out of her wop. He said, I ain't gonna touch it. Okay, let me read this a little bit from New York Post. DNA findings link Muhammad Ali to heroic slave. Boxing great Muhammad Ali, who fought white oppression as forcefully as he did his heavyweight opponents, was related to a heroic slave who escaped from bondage and warned Union troops of a Confederate trap. According to a new report, the fleet-footed fighter was the great-great-great-grandson of Archer Alexander, who became the model for the slave depicted in the Emancipation Memorial statue in Lincoln Park near the U.S. Capitol. The Washington Post reported. The beautiful thing about Ali is that he acted all along as if he was royalty, that he had a claim to greatness, said Jonathan Igg, author of Ali, A Life, who investigated the family's recent discovery and included it in the upcoming paperback edition of the biography. Ali spent much of his life attacking racist ideas, Ig told the newspaper. If he had known that his great-great-great-grandfather was such a brave and intelligent man, it surely would have strengthened his argument. Okay, just read a little bit. Y'all can find this online. Take a look. It's all online. I just showed y'all it was all online, right? So let me remove this. So yeah, we all got bloodlines like that though. And Muhammad Ali didn't even know about this guy. The bloodlines don't lie, right? You know, like I said, I'm related to interesting people, not just the famous ones. I told about, talked about Curtis Mayfield, the great Julian Mayfield, Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Hell, they say Marvin Gaye, Big Miller, the great Kansas City jazz blues shouter, Big Miller. I got Union soldiers I'm related to. We all got that in our family DNA and our bloodlines. So black folks, do yourself a favor. Research your family trees. Figure out your bloodlines, because really a lot of us are replicating the God work that our ancestors did a generation or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 6 before us. We don't even know that we actually doing a lot of things through a thing called ancestral memory. A lot of things that we're doing are not necessarily that we're doing it just because it's ancestral memory at play. So it makes sense that Muhammad Ali is related to a man like that, Archer Alexander. That makes a lot of sense. And it makes me look at that statue differently. Although a lot of people think it's very condescending towards black people, it was black people that raised the money for that statue. Just like it was black folks that raised the money for Grant's tomb, where the president and Civil War commander who won for the Union, Ulysses S. Grant, is buried in New York. It was black folks that raised the money for that. It was black folks that raised the first monument for John Brown, which is located in Kansas City, Kansas. It was black people that raised the money for that first standing statue of John Brown that I went to 4 years ago. That now they're trying to vandalize. Now, that statue been there for 100-something years, raised by black people. That's the power of black people. When we put our mind to something, we can manifest anything when we work together and put our mind towards a vision. But our problem is a lot of times we don't use our power for ourselves. We use it to uplift other people and things. That's the power of us. So you trying to tell me Muhammad Ali didn't know about this ancestor? And he did the stuff he did anyway? Come on now. Wake up. But let me find, because they changed that article. I'll read about a little bit about Alberto Odell Jones. I posted about her. Let me find what I said about the sister a little bit to get a little deeper detail, and then I'm gonna shut it down. And I will have no. It's been on my mind to do something about Alberto Odell Jones. I know somebody that's a long time listener. We all be suggested that I do it, but it's been on my mind. So it's all by design that this has been done on this day, and also this is I want to say this 10-year anniversary of the suspicious hanging death of Frederick Jermaine Carter. Now, We All Be is the only organization to really do a thorough and deep investigative journalism type approach to this unfortunate incident. Frederick Jermaine Carter was a young black man from Sunflower County, Mississippi. His folks were originally from Massachusetts. I think he was originally from Massachusetts. He was found hanging, I believe, Friday, December 2nd, 2010, from a tree in a affluent white neighborhood in Greenwood, Mississippi, by the Tallahatchie River. Yes, the Tallahatchie River, the same river where they pulled the body of Emmett Till out of. And it was weird about this case is that he was on a painting job with his stepfather when he disappeared. And then 48 hours later, I believe he disappeared on Wednesday doing a painting job with his stepfather. And so 2 days later, they found him hanging from a tree. But it was crazy. The coroner said that he was dead for at least 24 to 48 hours. Now, when that tree where he's found hanging from was near a dog kennel, and it was a walking path. You know how people out there walking on nature paths and whatever. So he had a lot of high traffic for and nobody saw nobody's body hanging from a tree that morning. Now his body was discovered hanging from the tree in the afternoon, which is interesting because the coroner said that he was dead for at least 24 to 48 hours. To me, that meant he was killed somewhere else, and they put his body there. So I did a lot of stuff. You go on my We All Be TV. We got a lot of videos by Frederick Jermaine Carter. I interviewed the sheriff down there. I interviewed the DA, interviewed the coroner, the state's medical examiner, Dr. Odell Shaker. He actually was ran out of Mississippi, and he was a world-renowned forensic scientist. Now, he did a lot of stuff around the world, and he came to Mississippi, and when he tried to tell the truth about what he thought happened, Like he didn't rule it a suicide. He said it was a hanging pending investigation. They need to be more examined in terms of what happened to Frederick Jermaine Carter. They ran him out the state of Mississippi. He was even there for a year, I believe, before he got ran out the state of Mississippi. That's Dr. A.L.L. Shaker. So I interviewed his aunt. I went down to the crime scene. I ain't gonna talk about all this now. But you can look up Freddie Jermaine Carter. I'll post something in the community section of the WIBTV channel on YouTube about Freddie Jermaine Carter. I'll give y'all the links to the articles I wrote about Freddie Jermaine Carter, as well as all the videos I did. And I was on an organization. Now, the Nation of Islam, to their credit, they did put the picture of him hanging on a tree on the front of the final call back in December 2010. The Nation of Islam helped organize and facilitate his homegoing down in Sunflower County, Mississippi. But after that, months, it was quiet. At first, the U.S. Today, when it first happened, they said it was a hanging, and then they reversed the course 24 hours, 48 hours later to a lynching. To a suicide. And you can't convince me that black folks are hanging themselves from trees in 2010, let alone in 2020. Every time they find a black person hanging from a tree as a suicide, how many of us been in the Navy or went to the Boy Scouts and know how to tie them sophisticated knots? Shit, by the time I try to tie a knot, I said, I ain't gonna kill myself like this. So they got us thinking that black people are hanging themselves by the courthouse, like out in California, by the library, like out in California or New Jersey or anywhere. We're just hanging ourselves, committing suicide by hanging. Come on, man. Come on. Yeah. Let me find what I need to find. Read this a little bit to y'all. I'm gonna go to work. I'm running late for work. But this is the real work I want to do. Sucker. Sister Alberto Odell Jones. Say her name. Let me read what I wrote in my own words, because they always change up the story, right? With that said, she ended up dead under very questionable circumstances. On August 5th, 1965, her body was found in the Ohio River. Now, August is Black August. A lot of amazing things and tragic, unfortunate things and revolutionary things happen in the month of August for black people. To me, that's an unofficial Black History Month, Black August. At first, her death was thought to be an accidental drowning, but her autopsy showed that she was rendered unconscious after several severe blows to the head by perhaps a brick. Witnesses said that they saw 3 men throw a body over the Sherman-Minton Bridge. Her rental car was found several blocks away with traces of blood inside and a fingerprint matched to a 17-year-old teenage male. 2 years later, the prosecutors decided not to pursue charges against the young man, claiming that several key witnesses were dead, although they were actually still very much alive at the time. Her purse was found 3 years later hanging from the bridge. That's crazy. So they really didn't secure the crime scene. According to her mother, the night before she was found dead, Jones was going to meet with a client named Gladys Wilkoff pertaining to a lawsuit involving a beautician. Needless to say, she never made it back home. Oh my God. So they still investigating the case. I mean, they could have solved this case. This woman was assassinated. And even if it was black people that did it, it's a white man behind the scenes pulling the strings, man. Because like I said, she was over division of domestic violence down there up there in Louisville. So she was sending some white men to prison. This is a black woman back in 65 doing that, right? So y'all make her a household name, say her name, get justice. Like, what about that brother or the activist that was killed recently in Louisville, who was a lead activist and trying to get justice for Breonna Taylor? I'm telling y'all about the history of Louisville. Y'all wake up. I don't think that was a carjacker. I don't know, but it just sounds fishy to me that this man or this person got taken out like this. I believe it was a brother that got taken out. Y'all correct me or whatever. Let me look up his name, say his name too before I get out of here. Thank y'all, family, for supporting the movement. Like I said, you can go to Cash App, Venmo, Google Pay, PayPal. YouTube take a lot of chunk. They taking like 50% out now. They ain't tell nobody nothing. Oh my God. But I want to thank y'all. Such thing as small donation. Everything and anything counts right now. because we all we got. I mean, dedicate this episode to him. To Hamza Travis Nagy. That's Hamza Travis Nagy, a beloved activist who led numerous demonstrations following the killing of Breonna Taylor earlier this year. I hope they find justice for this brother. It's a damn shame. We losing a lot of our young people like this. And he was doing things for the right reasons, as far as I know. But that sounds fishy, what happened to him. So thank you, family, for listening, for tolerating me. I'm not the most tech savvy person out here, of course, but I want to thank y'all for y'all patience and say her name, Alberta Odell Jones, justice for sister Alberta Odell Jones. And that friend, I don't think she never spoke to the family again, from my understanding. When they reached out to her daughter answered the phone, said that her mama was downtown when everything was closed downtown. The morning after, what happened to Alberta Odell Jones, I don't believe she talked to them ever again. And she passed away recently. I want to say within the last maybe 3 or 5 years, that person. So she knows more than she was willing to share. Maybe there's a deathbed confession out there somewhere. Who knows? But thank y'all. Like the words from Brother Herb, please subscribe to We All Be TV on YouTube. Spread the word. Share this info with your family and friends. Support the We All Be movement. Knowledge is the currency of the universe. But support our movement, because we are in info wars time in terms of trying to get this information out to the people. And like Bobby Dick called me the feeder, so I'm going to feed y'all. Even when I don't feel like feeding y'all, I'm going to feed y'all anyway. Even when I have to force feed some of y'all, it's okay. So thank y'all, family, for tuning in, for being patient with me. Let me see. Let's see. Yeah, ancestral memories are real. Thank y'all for listening, man, for being patient with me. Let me get myself to my plantation and be an overseer. But thank y'all. But talk about her. Make her a trend. You know what I'm saying? Y'all get on. Y'all got voices. Amplify your voices by speaking on our righteous ancestors. So thank y'all for being very patient. In the words of Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing. And let me read a disclaimer. Disclaimer: the views expressed by hosts and guests or guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints, expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information, and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding on how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support. And know, once again, in the words of Duke Ellington, we love you madly, one love, and the best is yet to come. Thank y'all so much. God bless.